Hey creative friends, welcome to my channel, and in this video I'm going to be making some DIY all-purpose baking mix. Now I've done a video before, but instead of going back and having to find it, we'll just make a new one. So I'm making this. I like to have this at home, and when we were in Connecticut taking care of my father-in-law's home, I bought a box of this just to have it because I didn't have all the things that I have at my home pantry. But now I want to make a couple things, and I'm almost out of this, and I'm out of the stuff I keep at home. So I'm going to make some for you. Now this, what we're going to make, can be used any way that you use, like Bisquick or this Jiffy mix or any of these all-purpose baking mixes. They're super easy to make. There's 4 ingredients. You need flour, baking soda, shortening, and salt. That's it. So what I'm going to do, I've got 6 cups of flour in my mixer, and I'm going to bring you over and show you. So I've got 6 cups of flour in there. The other thing is 3 tablespoons of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of salt. That's the dry ingredients, and those are going to get mixed together with this whip blade on there and on slow or low speed, slow. Those are going to go in there, and they're going to be mixed together on low speed. Now, the other thing, the last thing you need is the cup of vegetable shortening. Now, that can be like your Crisco. Crisco is an awesome one. Now, another thing you can do is you can use butter, but you're going to have to make sure you refrigerate it if you use it for butter. If you notice, all of the things that are going into this are shelf stable. You can keep them in a pantry without refrigerating them, and they'll last like up to 3 months in your pantry. So that's pretty awesome. If you want to keep it longer, you can put it in the fridge. It'll keep for like, I don't know, I read something once that said up to a year. You can also put it in bags and freeze it. But if you put it in bags and freeze it, you want to make sure that it's back to room temperature before you use it to make anything like pie crust or cookies or whatever, because it needs to, the shortening needs to soften up. So I've got my whisk attachment on my KitchenAid. If you don't have one of these, when you go to mix in the shortening, you can use a thing like this. This is called a pastry blender, and you kind of just cut through and cut the pieces of shortening up. Or if you don't even have one of those, you can use a couple knives. This is going to take a really long time because you're going to have to go like this through all of that and work that in until it looks like cornmeal. So there's that. But one thing I want to say to you is, if you want to make something that's more buttery flavored without having to worry about having to keep it in the fridge, you can get the butter flavored Crisco, and that will make any of the biscuits and things that you make with this even more buttery. So let's get started. I'm going to bring you over, and I'm just going to put this on low and just kind of mix up those dry ingredients. Got to get those really well mixed. Make sure that they're nicely mixed in there. I'm going to get me a spatula here and just kind of knock that off the side because I poured everything in one side. Alright, so that looks pretty well mixed to me. Alright, that's got all of that mixed up. And now what we're going to do, I'm just going to kind of blend this around, and I'm just going to keep this in a Ziploc bag on my pantry shelf here in my kitchen because I plan to make all kinds of stuff with this. In fact, I have a recipe picked out. That's when I discovered that I was getting low. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this cup of shortening and I'm going to slowly add it in bit by bit so that it can get worked in. There we go. And I just want to I just take little bits like this and drop it in there. And there we go. Kind of, it will start to look like cornmeal after a while. So this will take a little bit, so I'm going to just keep adding my shortening like this, and I'll bring you back when it's done so that you can see how that's really going to turn out. See there? So I'll bring you back as soon as I've added some more of this, and we'll kind of do a check-in. Alright, we'll do a little check-in, and you can see how that's super nicely blended. See there? And let me turn this off. And you can see how it's just perfect. It's perfectly blended. Kind of looks like cornmeal. And this is going to be perfect. So I'm going to give it a couple little go-rounds, little bit more, maybe 30 seconds more. Now the thing is, you can use your blender. I showed you how you could use your knives or one of the pastry blenders, or you can put this in a food processor. And if you can believe it or not, in all of my years, I have never owned a food processor. So I wouldn't even know how to do that. But there's people out there that live by them and love them, and this would be a perfect thing to do in a food processor. So I'm going to be back as soon as I'm ready to bag this up. All right, there you have it. You see how that just comes off of that whip, and it's just perfect. It's just exactly the way you'd want it to be. See, it kind of just looks crumbly. Excellent. So now I have my bag here, and I love these little stands that you can stand your bags on. I'll put a link down in my Amazon little affiliate link for these because these are awesome. I've already got my bag labeled. It says all-purpose baking mix, and it has the month and year so that I know I need to use this up in about 3 months. And I just put this in my pantry here off my kitchen. And I'm excited because what I'm going to make with it is a recipe for apple waffles with apple cider cinnamon syrup. So that sounds amazing. So I'm going to make a video out of that. That will be my next video. But for this, here I have quite a nice bag full. And this is about the bag, the size of, you know, a box that you would get at the store. And so it took, what, maybe 10 minutes to make this? And this is something you know you forget to put on your shopping list. I know I do. So anytime I would want it without making it, that's why I just started making it. I never have to remember it this way. There we go. Squeeze the air out of that. And there I have a full bag of all-purpose baking mix. The next recipe will be waffles using my all-purpose baking mix. Oh, I gotta wipe that up. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.